I want you to close your eyes and think of a baseball star. Who do you think of? Shohei Ohtani? Aaron Judge? What about a star from the Colorado Rockies? Nolan Arenado? Troy Tulowitzki? Or even Todd Helton or Larry Walker? All players who haven't been on the team in years. That's because this team is bad. Like, very, very bad. A team so bad, they just tied for the second worst winning percentage of a 162-game season ever. But the remarkable thing is they did this while having one of the best catchers in all of baseball. Let me introduce you to one of the most underappreciated stars in the sport, Hunter Goodman. Welcome back to Good Sports For You, where we are talking about good sports for you. And today we are talking about one of the most underrated stars in the game right now, and that is Hunter Goodman. But before we hop into all that, I want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate it so much. Hunter Goodman's story isn't a linear path. It starts right outside of Memphis, Tennessee at Arlington High School. Goodman was lucky enough to grow up in an athletic environment, with his dad having played high school ball and his mom playing softball in college. He wasn't on many MLB teams' radars for the 2018 draft, not unsurprising considering he was ranked only in the top 500 by Perfect Game. After going undrafted, Goodman decided to stay close to home for college and attended the University of Memphis. Not exactly a powerhouse program, only making the NCAA tournament once since 1995. But once Goodman arrived on campus, he instantly started turning heads, leading his team as a freshman in at-bats, hits, doubles, triples, home runs, RBIs, total bases, batting average, and slugging percentage. With this remarkable season, Goodman earned every freshman All-American award there was to be earned and was named the American Athletic Conference's Newcomer of the Year. In his second season, Goodman was projected to have an even better year. In his first 17 games, he racked up 8 home runs and 31 RBIs, ranking third in the nation in both stats. However, due to a pandemic, his season was cut short. If you extrapolate those numbers, he would have crushed both Memphis's and the AAC's all-time single-season record for both home runs and RBIs. But now it was to junior year for Hunter to set records. In his third season, Goodman casually had one of the best seasons in Memphis program history, tying the record for most home runs in a season with 21, hitting .307, slugging .678 with a .401 on base percentage. Goodman finished as the career leader in home runs at Memphis with 42, despite only playing 3 seasons, one of them being a quarter-long season. At this point, MLB teams had noticed him as one of the best players in college and was ranked 87th on the MLB's 2021 draft board, sandwiched in between 2 fellow future big leaguers, Zach Geloff and Robert Gasser. Goodman ended up being drafted in the 4th round by the Colorado Rockies. So, going from one world-beating program to the absolutely most storied franchise in all of baseball. You love to see it for him. Goodman wasn't just a good prospect, but a truly unique one. MLB had his draft profile listed as a first baseman, an outfielder, and then a catcher. This combination made him valuable for any roster, especially with the bat that he was projected to provide. Goodman quickly made an impression in pro ball. In the post-draft rookie ball season, he slashed a .300 average, .419 on base percentage, .517 slugging for a .936 OPS. In his first full season, he was looking like a full-fledged future star. Spread out over A-ball, high A, and double A, Goodman hit a remarkable .294 with a .354 on base, a .572 slugging for a .926 OPS, with 36 home runs across all levels, which was tied for the 3rd most in all the minors. He spent the most time in the California League of A-ball, playing 37 games where he had the 7th highest slugging percentage, the 10th highest OPS, and the 2nd most home runs with 22. The only guy who had more than him had 23, and Hunter had 200 less plate appearances. So yeah, I think he was doing pretty good. After such a remarkable season, Goodman was ranked as the Rockies' 20th best prospect, but not even close to sniffing the top 100 prospects in all of baseball. So it was another season of doing what he does best, crushing baseballs. In 2023, he split time between the AA Hartford Yard Goats and the AAA Albuquerque Isotopes, where he once again played incredible, hitting .259 with a .338 OBP, a .580 slugging for a .919 OPS, crushing 34 home runs, which had him one off the lead for most home runs in all the minors. While playing for the Isotopes, Goodman slashed .371 with a .418 on base percentage, a .903 slugging for a 1.321 OPS in an admittedly small sample size of 15 games. But the results were too good to pass up for a Rockies team that were in need of basically anything to go their way. So they called up their slugging catching / first base / outfield prospect. And Hunter did the exact opposite of what he always does. Goodman really struggled in his first cup of coffee at the big league level, hitting a rather abysmal 200 average with a 247 OBP, a 386 slugging for a 632 OPS, which gave him a 62 OPS plus, 38% worse than league average. This resulted in a tough negative 0.5 baseball reference WAR, but something was off. For the first time, Hunter Goodman, the catching prospect, wasn't catching. The Rockies already had a solid backstop with all-star Elias Diaz, so they plugged Goodman into the outfield or first base. After a disappointing first stint in the big leagues, Goodman found himself the next season back in AAA, performing very well once again. Over 20 games, hitting for a 298 average, a 352 on base percentage, a 690 slugging for a 1.042 OPS. The Rockies, once again in need of anything to go their way, called up their now number 12 prospect, Hunter Goodman. And once again, Goodman found himself struggling with big league pitching. There was one glaring problem. When he hit the ball hard, but he couldn't hit the ball a lot. Strikeouts are always a concern for Goodman's progression, from freshman year of college when his walk-to-strikeout ratio was a dreadful 9 walks to 55 strikeouts, to his time in the minors when he struck out about 3 times as much as he walked, and in the big leagues the issues continued. In this second stint in the big leagues, Goodman struck out 49 times while walking only 6 times. That's over an 8-to-1 ratio of strikeouts to walks. After being sent down once again in August for a couple weeks, Goodman was called up for another crack at the big leagues in September. At this point, it was a sink or swim situation for Hunter. He was absolutely raking when he would play in the minor leagues, but as soon as he got the call up, he was abysmal. It was a classic situation of a quad A player, someone who is objectively too good to be in the minor leagues, but just too bad to be in the majors. Of course, there's always a market for players like that, but that's not what Hunter wanted, so he needed to show it in September. Thankfully for Goodman, this small visit to Albuquerque was just enough to figure things out at the big league level. In the month of September, Goodman hit .226 with a .255 OBP and a great .547 slugging for a solid .802 OPS. This included 5 home runs and 12 RBIs over 16 games. But there were still issues. He wasn't walking, only drawing 2 walks, and he was still striking out 15 times. This solid month wasn't enough to salvage a tough season, ending the 2024 season with a slash line of 190, 228, 417, a 645 OPS, which gave him a slightly improved 68 OPS plus. But because of the increase in games, his WAR was an unflattering negative 0.8. His career numbers were still a mess. Over 93 games, Goodman had a slash line of 192, 233, 409, 642 OPS for a 66 OPS plus. And a career negative 1.4 WAR is not what you like to see when you pull up a baseball reference page. But after the winter, Goodman came to spring training and finally did what he was supposed to do. He mashed the ball. Goodman's previous spring trainings weren't anything to write home about, with a 594 OPS and a 742 OPS in 2023 and 24 respectively. But in 2025, he hit for a 1.322 OPS, and he finally wasn't striking out as much, with 4 walks and 4 strikeouts. But spring training is just spring training. We see players all the time who really struggle in the spring but have an absolutely fantastic season, and vice versa. Guys who have a great spring but really struggle in the season when it actually matters. We're going to see if that was the case with Hunter in 2025. Goodman quickly proved that spring training wasn't a fluke, slashing .268, .355, .474 for an .829 OPS with 5 home runs in March and April. May was a worrying step back, only posting a .671 OPS. That all turned around when he started June, putting up a slash line of .391, .404, .848 for a 1.252 OPS and 4 home runs over the first 12 games of the month. Goodman carried this momentum into the All-Star break where he was not selected by the fans for the All-Star game, but thankfully every team needs a representative, and Goodman was selected as the Rockies representative in the 2025 All-Star game. After the All-Star break, he remained very consistent. As you can see, pre-All-Star break, he posted a slash of 277, 325, 517, 842 with 17 home runs in 85 games. Following the break, he posted a slash of 279, 321, 525, 846 with 14 home runs in 59 games. That wasn't the only level of consistency Goodman had, though, hitting for a 277 average with a 317 OBP, 510 slugging, and an 826 OPS versus right-handed pitchers, and a 281 average, 343 OBP, 555 slugging for an 898 slash versus left-handed pitchers. Aside from the dip in May, Goodman never had a month with an OPS below 800 for the season. The solid consistency led to one of the best seasons by a Rockies catcher ever, finishing with a slash line of 278, 323 on base, 520 slugging, and 843 OPS for a 120 OPS plus. His 31 home runs are the most by a Rockies catcher in a season and the most home runs by a Rocky since 2019. After this fantastic season, Goodman was awarded with the Silver Slugger Award, winning over Will Smith and William Contreras. He was the first Rocky to win a Silver Slugger Award since 2019 and the first Rocky catcher to ever take home the Silver Slugger. So we know that Hunter took a huge step forward to become one of the best hitting catchers in the game, but the question is how? What propelled him to this incredible jump? First, we need to look at some base level stats. Goodman's strikeout to walk ratio improved significantly. In his first 2 seasons, he had a strikeout to walk ratio of about 7-1. This past season, he dropped that to just under 5-1. While this doesn't seem like a huge drop, over the course of the season, it adds up. His strikeout percentage has dropped each season from 31.2 to 28.6 to 26.3. Again, not huge drops, but steady improvement. Second, let's look at some numbers under the hood. He hit the ball harder than ever, raising his exit velocity from 88.4 in 2024 to 90.8 this season. His hard hit percentage has raised from 39.6% in 24 to 46.9% in 25. This led to all of his expected stats to raise significantly. After an expected batting average of .211 in both 2023 and 24, it rose to .247 in 2025, and raising an expected slugging of .354 and .408 in 23 and 24 to an expected slugging of .453 in 2025. Now, the expected stats were lower than what Hunter actually put up in 2025, so we may see some regression in 2026, but sometimes expected stats are just that. It's what to be expected. It's not really what actually happens, so you never really know. But there is one key factor that we didn't talk about. One of my really good friends is actually close family friends with Hunter, and she always said that Hunter hit better when he would be catching because he felt more involved in the game. So I decided to look into it, and as expected, he hit way better when he was catching. Just looking at these numbers for his career, at first base, he hit .200 with a .628 OPS and 39 plate appearances. At left field, he's hit .235 with a .647 OPS in 17 plate appearances. At right field, he hit .170 with a .539 OPS in 109 plate appearances. At DH, he hit .227 with a .689 OPS in 212 plate appearances. As a pinch hitter, he hit .118 with a .520 OPS in 18 plate appearances. As a catcher, he hit .283 with an .886 OPS in 486 plate appearances. This season was the first season that he played primarily catcher. His first season, he never caught a game, compared to his second season where he played less than a third of his games at catcher, playing more outfield than catcher. And finally, in his breakout season, he played 72% of his games behind the dish. The only other position he played was DH this season. And one may say, well, the stats are skewed because this season he's been hitting well and also happens to be the starting catcher, which is a valid argument, except for just looking at this season, Goodman hit .290 with an .895 OPS while catching compared to hitting just .250 with a .700 OPS while DHing this season alone. Clearly, there is something about catching that either makes him more engaged in the game or more ready to go that has helped his hitting. So what's next for the breakout star of 2025? Well, I think the future is very, very bright. I think that there's a whole entire new level to his game that could soon be unlocked. Obviously, he's swinging and missing a lot, so if he cuts that down at all, you can see the on-base percentage jump up while still keeping the power, and he's only hitting the ball harder as his career continues. So if he's hitting the ball even harder, expect some crazy numbers. But the real question lies is his situation. What are the Rockies going to do with him? Obviously, they're in a long-term rebuild, so the question is going to be, do the Rockies view him as a centerpiece in that rebuild, or are they basically going to say, hey, you're too good to stay in Colorado, we're going to get younger prospects back for you in return? That's to be seen, but I know that whatever team that he ends up on, he will do incredible. I think that he's going to be a perennial all-star candidate, honestly, and be considered one of the top catchers in the game very, very soon. But that is all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. I hope I could enlighten you on one of the more underrated players in our game. And that's it for me, though, and I'm out. Peace.